Thank you for joining us. This is a Infowars.com special report, streaming live at prisonplanet.tv. Thank you so much for joining us. It is August 25th, 2011 on this Thursday edition. Coming up later in this special news report, we're going to break down the fact that Obama has incredibly low approval ratings. In fact, the lowest in modern history for a president 2.5 years into their first term. And we'll compare those numbers to Gallup polls showing that Ron Paul polls even better than Rick Perry in a head-to-head run against President Barack Obama. Then we'll ask the question, is Apple evil? Steve Jobs, the owner and head of Apple, has stepped down because of health issues. And I think it's important to go back and look at the real history of Apple, not the public relations campaign that we've been fed. Also, towards the end of this transmission, we're going to look at the latest developments in Libya and the fact that even mainstream media admits Al-Qaeda is being protected and put into power in that North African state as a new base of operations to menace the West. But don't worry, Big Brother is going to be more than happy to take good care of us by taking our liberties. Now, before we get to all of that news, I first want to get into a report dealing with the fact that the carbon taxes, the greenhouse taxes, are now hitting. It turns out that Congress won't pass a law to restrict coal power plants that give more than 50% of the power to the United States. And so President Obama is simply using the EPA and regulators to go in and slap the new regulations that they admit will cause rolling blackouts and huge power price increases against their competition. Because you see, General Electric and other insiders that are part of his administration, they're exempt. So let's go to that report. Obama hits struggling Americans with energy rate hikes. Following Barack Obama's vow to bankrupt the coal power industry, Americans are set to be hit with a wave of utility bill hikes as draconian EPA regulations drive up the cost of energy.
So if somebody wants to build a coal power plant, they can. It's just that it will bankrupt them because they're going to be charged a huge sum for all that greenhouse gas that's being emitted.
The Obama administration's crusade against coal-fired power plants, which was launched on the back of discredited junk science about hyped global warming threats, has little to do with improving the environment and everything to do with lowering living standards by creating artificial scarcity. The EPA has now listed as harmful carbon dioxide that is part of the life cycle of the planet. New EPA rules dictate that utility companies will be forced to spend an initial outlay of $800 million to conform with regulations that mandate harmful emissions be reduced under the Clean Air Act. And yet power plants supplied by General Electric, one of Barack Obama's biggest campaign contributors, have received an EPA waiver and will not be subject to the new regulations. The new rules will exacerbate the problem of rolling blackouts, warns Donna Nelson, head of the Texas Public Utility Commission. Nelson said, quote, "I have no doubt in my mind that this rule will result in reliability issues and rolling outages in Texas." Obama's strict enforcement of draconian EPA regulations has led to new clean-burning coal-fired plants being mothballed and other existing ones being shut down, which has in turn led to Texas and other states becoming energy dependent. All of this, of course, will lead to significantly higher utility bills for U.S. citizens who are being assaulted with more and more expenses, even as the threat of a double-dip recession lowers living standards. With more on these incredible developments, we're joined by Infowars.com reporter Darren McBreen in downtown Austin.
I'm Darren McBreen with Infowars Nightly News, and I'm here today at the Texas State Capitol, and we're about to find out if the people of Austin are aware that they are about to be hit by a wave of utility bill hikes as new EPA regulations drive up the cost of energy.
What do you think about paying higher utility bills because of the EPA's new regulations against power plants?
You know, there may be some new regulations coming up against power plants at this point. I know a lot of people that are going to be not only shocked but a little bit irritated about that as well.
Sure.
I mean, they're already, because it's such a hot summer.
Exactly.
You know, everybody's bills is already up through the roof.
You're already paying through the roof because the ACs are running nonstop, and then all of a sudden it's like, on top of that, and with a downturn economy, yeah, it's doesn't seem to jive that well.
Of course, I don't want to pay higher utility bills. They're already extremely high right now as it is.
Well, I don't want to pay more because of the carbon dioxide thing. That doesn't seem right, especially if it's not even proven.
Generally, I prefer regulations that deter pollution, and paying a little bit more for that than an unregulated environment.
It all has to be regulated some way, right? It's going to mess our environment up.
I understand the tax on carbon footprints, but I mean, who's getting a new Lexus? You know what I mean?
Do you think that carbon dioxide is dangerous?
I think carbon dioxide can be very dangerous.
Okay, what do plants breathe?
Carbon dioxide.
Yeah, I think carbon dioxide is definitely dangerous. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any rules and laws to prevent it being.
What do plants breathe?
Carbon dioxide.
Carbon dioxide is turned into oxygen by plants. So I mean, it has to be in the world.
Obviously, it's not all dangerous. Carbon dioxide isn't a dangerous gas, but when there's too much of it, it's a problem.
Carbon dioxide, even though it's a natural gas consumed by plants, it can be dangerous because, everyone says it has to do with global warming.
Behind me is the Holly Street Power Plant. It was partially closed in 2004 and officially shut down in 2007. Now it's simply a reminder of Austin's energy independence.
What do you think about the fact that General Electric, one of Obama's biggest donors, that they get a waiver and they will not be subject to the regulation?
That sounds like politics and lobbyists at work. I mean, it's government, right? Exactly. No surprise.
Sounds plausible.
Yeah, it sounds possible. There's no surprise about that.
General Electric doesn't need any favors from anybody. They're a multi-billion-dollar corporation.
Are you aware that some of these new regulations are also shutting down power plants, and this is causing some of the rolling blackouts throughout Texas?
No, I wasn't familiar with that, actually. Didn't realize that was going on.
Lobbyists make a lot of money striking these deals. There's a lot of things that we don't know, and how government, the tax breaks, the incentives, loopholes, you name it. So I think it's just one more to add to the list.
Well, as you can see, Alex, the people here in Austin, they're aware that their utility rates are going up, but they're not sure of the real cause.
This is Darren McBreen with Infowars Nightly News.
All right, thank you, Darren. Wow. I mean, what do you say to that? We're going to do some other pieces here in Austin where we're going to go out and say, should we ban dihydrogen monoxide? We've done them before years ago. And over 90% of people say, yeah, ban it right now. And even after you tell them that dihydrogen monoxide is water, they still say ban it. If the government says it, it must be reasonable. Ladies and gentlemen, they've done ice core samples. In the last 200,000 years, we've had 14 times higher carbon dioxide than we have right now. The truth is, they've done studies. If carbon dioxide was doubled, the Sahara would be a jungle. We are in a carbon dioxide starved situation. And the globalists have chosen carbon dioxide, part of the life cycle, part of the carbon cycle, oxygen, carbon dioxide, sunlight, and water. You got to have those four things. So they can tax breathing. I saw a New York Times article years ago saying, yes, we're going to tax breathing. You'll pay your money to Al Gore. It's good. Well, I'm sorry. There's a lot of real environmental issues I'm concerned about, like Fukushima still melting down, belching radiation, or genetic engineering, splicing spiders and goats, or my corn having pesticide put into it. I've had enough. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this special report is just getting started. We're going to come back from break and get into the latest on Obama's plunging poll numbers, Ron Paul's exploding poll numbers, and we'll talk to Ron Paul's former chief of staff, no other than Lou Rockwell, on the other side. Please stay with us. It's Infowars Special Report. You don't need me to tell you that humanity is in a deep crisis. Everyone can feel it. We know a tectonic struggle is now taking place against the forces of freedom and those who love darkness, bondage, and enslavement. Yes, my friends, evil is rising. But take heart. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Recently, New World Order operative Hillary Clinton admitted they're losing the info war.
We are in an information war, and we are losing that war.
The globalists are scared. They've overreached. The future of the info war is in your hands. Join prisonplanet.tv. Download the thousands of special video reports, ebooks, and more, and get them out to everyone you know. Continue to spread the word about the broadcast on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and every other globalist propaganda platform. We are going to use their system against them. The info war now goes into high gear.